Oh, brilliant!
Sound is part of everything we do. Yet today, more than 466 million people are living in a silent world. As the most common sensory disorder, deafness is a major problem in today's society. The extremely loud noise that today's youth are exposed to, growing old, and even some cancer treatments can all cause hearing loss. But what if I told you that scientists are currently investigating the prospect of a brand new treatment that could potentially cure deafness? This new treatment is called cell therapy. To understand the basis of cell therapy, we firstly need to know how a normal ear functions. The organ that allows us to hear is a tiny, coiled structure that looks like a snail shell, situated deep inside the skull. This is called the cochlea. Inside the middle compartment of the cochlea lie thousands of specialised hair cells, which have tiny hair-like structures sticking out the top, called stereocilia. Incoming sound waves activate these cells by causing the hairs to dance in a synchronous motion. Nearby neurons of the auditory nerve respond to hair cell activation by producing an electrical signal which is conveyed into the auditory cortex in the brain, allowing us to hear. Pretty spectacular stuff. But what goes wrong in a deaf ear? Most often, deafness arises when these specialised cells inside the cochlea are damaged or disappear. This is known as sensorineural hearing loss. The disappearance and damage of cells inside the cochlea mean that sensorineural hearing loss is very difficult to treat. What's more, your cochlea is unable to replace the damaged cells. Hearing aids can be very useful for those with minor hearing loss, and those with more severe hearing loss can restore hearing using the cochlear implant, which is an electrical device surgically implanted into the inner ear. But these electrical devices are not appropriate for many patients, leaving many people with hearing loss without any treatment option. So as we said, scientists are now investigating a new treatment prospect, cell therapy. Cell therapy involves transplanting new cells into the cochlea in order to replace the dysfunctional ones. Cell therapy depends on a special type of cell, called a stem cell. When under the right conditions, these extraordinary cells can transform into any cell type in our entire body. Stem cells were initially extracted from embryos, but nowadays we can create stem cells from adult cells, which avoids the ethical issues associated with embryonic stem cells. Now, scientists can take cells from you or I, say a skin cell, and revert it back to an embryonic-like cell, beholding the possibility to become any cell we want it to. These types of stem cells are called induced pluripotent stem cells. Scientists have shown that by copying what occurs inside a developing embryo, they can induce either embryonic or induced pluripotent stem cells to become inner ear cells. These cells have been transplanted into deaf animals and shown they could actually replace the damaged cells in the inner ear. In some studies, this cell replacement therapy was even able to restore some hearing in deaf animals. So why have humans not been cured of their deafness using cell therapy? The process can be very complicated and still faces many challenges before it can be safe and effective for human use. It is difficult to get these cells to where they need to be, as the cochlea is located deep within a bone of the skull. Patients will need to have invasive surgery for the cell transplant. Also, we need to replace cells that are located in the middle compartment of the cochlea. It is extremely difficult to access this region without causing trauma to the cochlea and making hearing even worse. It is also very difficult to control transplanted cells. They may migrate to the wrong location or multiply uncontrollably, which can give rise to cancer. Even if we can get them to the right location, they might not form appropriate connections with native cells in the ear, and so would not be able to improve hearing at all. These challenges are currently holding back the potential of cell therapy to treat deafness. However, There are a lot of preclinical research studies in the pipeline addressing these issues. One new idea could be to transplant cells that function to secrete survival factors and prevent the loss of cochlear cells, rather than trying to replace them once they're gone. As modern scientific technology continues to advance, it is predicted that replacing cells in the inner ear can be possible in the future. It just might take some time before we get there.